Hey guys, welcome to our weekly news show here at Backstage with Millionaires. I'm Caleb, your host, and we talked about this a little bit back in news episode 105, back in January of 2022, but now we have some more information on Ola Electric's upcoming electric car. So we have an estimated price point of 10 lakh rupees. We also know that they're going to be aiming to launch this thing at the end of 2023, which isn't too far away, or perhaps early on in 2024. It really depends on how the development of this electric car goes. And we also have recently found out that they've been testing this thing for the last 6 months, or at least a prototype of this electric car. Now, just a couple of other details to note here. First of all, this 10 lakh rupee price tag is extremely competitive. At the moment, arguably one of the most affordable electric cars, or perhaps even the most affordable electric car in India at the moment, is the Tigor EV. And that's starting at 12.24 lakh rupees. And another thing that's super interesting about this electric car is that this isn't just going to be a normal electric car, it's going to be an autonomous electric car. We're not sure yet if they're going to be implementing LiDAR technology or computer vision technology through a camera system. It's not clear at this point, but it is going to be an autonomous car. Now, at this point, many of you have watched the video that we made about how Ola Electric's Revolution faltered. There were some big problems with execution and taking their S1 and S1 Pro electric scooters to market. And to this day, there's a lot of customers who are upset. There have been problems with these scooters, and Ola Electric has actually recalled 1,441 of these electric scooters for preemptive diagnostics and health checks. So me personally, I am going to be taking any promises that Ola Electric makes moving forward with a grain of salt. I don't know about you guys. I'd love to gauge the public response in the comment section. Do you still believe in Ola Electric's Revolution? Do you still trust these guys in spite of what's happened in the last couple of months? Or are you like me and you have to see it to believe it? Leave a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are. All right, next up in the news, Mobikwik has faced a massive setback in their plans to go public. They're gearing up for their IPO right now, but the RBI has just rejected their payment aggregator license. So this payment aggregator was going to be implemented through ZachPay, which is a payment gateway by Mobikwik. Now though, because of this rejection by the RBI, Mobikwik won't be able to onboard any new merchants, and existing merchants who are using their payment gateway will have 180 days to stop using it. So it goes without saying that this is extremely bad news for Mobikwik. They're all set for their 1,900 crore rupee IPO, and this is one of their 3 key business lines. They've got their buy now, pay later business line, their consumer payments or wallet business line, and this payment gateway called ZachPay business line. According to the company, our consumer payments and buy now, pay later segments significantly rely on ZachPay's services for processing payments within the Mobikwik ecosystem, and any disruption in the functioning of ZachPay, even if caused due to factors completely external to us, can adversely affect the operations of our Mobikwik wallet and BNPL products, including Mobikwik Zip, as well as our brand and reputation. Now, nobody is quite sure why this is happening, why the RBI is rejecting this license, but some people, some experts are predicting that this could be because of Mobikwik's support for cryptocurrency exchanges in the past. All right, next up in the news, IPO-bound automobile marketplace unicorn CarDekho has set up a fintech platform called Rupyy to offer financing services to their customers. So the idea here of what they're going to be offering through Rupyy is actually pretty straightforward. It's loans for new cars, used cars, and two-wheelers. And according to T.I.M.E, Jain, one of the co-founders and the CEO of CarDekho Financial Services, auto finance has traditionally been one of the most slow-moving categories. And on average, the turnaround time to get a loan is upwards of 4 to 5 days due to several long and physical processes. Now though, with Rupyy, they're cutting the length of time that it takes to get a vehicle loan from days down to just minutes, according to the company. And this is a reflection of the growth that we're seeing in the used car financing industry. There was year-over-year growth of 60%, and in the financial year of 2022 alone, the amount of loans dispersed in this sector was 29,000 crore rupees. According to T.I.M.E, Jain, CarDekho wants to capture between 35 and 40% of the market share in this segment over the next 3 to 5 years. However, the success of these ambitions will, of course, be dependent upon how their IPO goes. They're planning to go public in 2023, and they posted a revenue of 936 crore rupees in the financial year of 2021, which was a 25% rise from their 706.2 crore rupee revenue in the financial year of 2020. All right, next up, this video is brought to you by our longtime sponsor, Jungle Ventures. And today I wanted to highlight a video that they made explaining why some startups are valued higher than others. So this video explains how factors like total addressable market, team experience, and competition in the market play key roles in determining how much money is going to flow into a startup from VC firms and angel investors. So here's my favorite clip from that video.
The first factors that investors focus on is the TAM, or the size of the total addressable market that your business is operating in. Typically, if your TAM is greater than $1 billion, it means that the business has enough room to grow. If the sector you're operating in is seeing increasing interest, you will see more capital flowing in there and increased investor and buyer interest. Finally, your relative position in that large market matters. If you are one of the top players in a large market, you will court multiple interested parties in contrast to if you are a lower tier of your market. In other words, avoid approaching investors with just a good idea. It should be a good idea plus sufficient proof, a big enough group of people who can benefit from it, a large market size, that the idea will eventually turn into a visible business opportunity. And that's where the total market size, TAM, or total addressable market comes in.
Now, if you're watching this video and you yourself are a startup founder, or you just want to understand how startups work, the ins and outs of the startup space, or maybe you have questions like what do VCs look for before deciding to invest in an idea, or how do you find a co-founder for your startup? And there's one place where you can find answers to all of these questions, and that's Jungle Ventures' YouTube channel. So you can find a link to that channel in the pinned comment or description down below. And while you're over there, make sure to hit subscribe. I have personally done this on my personal channel, and I've also hit the bell icon myself because I don't want to miss any of their videos. They're super educational and useful for anybody who's interested in business, startups, or fundraising. And that someone is me, because I need to know this stuff so that I can talk about it to you guys. But you should also check it out. And again, make sure to hit subscribe. And thanks to Jungle Ventures for sponsoring this video. All right, next up in the news, Swiggy has launched an industry-first accelerator program for their delivery partners called Step Ahead. So the idea here is to provide an opportunity to their delivery partners to move ahead in their careers by offering them full-time jobs with a fixed salary and other benefits. Of course, there are some eligibility requirements here for these delivery partners. They need to have a college degree, they need to have been working with Swiggy for a couple of years, they need to have decent communication skills, and they need to know how to use a computer. However, if they meet these requirements and if they make it through this accelerator program, then these delivery partners will transition into roles as fleet managers, where they'll be managing important metrics for the startup like cancellations, resolving queries, and working on special projects for delivery executives. Now, it is worth noting here that this development is happening as Swiggy is planning on going public. Last month, according to the Economic Times, Swiggy hired JP Morgan and ISEC ahead of this $1 billion IPO. All right, next up in the news, more IPO-related news. It really seems like Indian startups are getting excited again about IPOs after that market downturn, and also everybody kind of getting scared off by Paytm's IPO. But now FirstCry as well is planning to go public with a $1 billion IPO. They've onboarded Kotak Mahindra Capital and Morgan Stanley to their board and had previously been considering a $600 to $700 million IPO, but have now increased the offer size to $1 billion because they feel that market sentiments are better than they were earlier on in 2022 and at the end of 2021. This proposed IPO is going to be a combination of primary and secondary shares, with primary shares making up about 25% and secondary shares making up about 75%. FirstCry, which was founded back in 2010, currently has 7.5 million registered customers, more than 2 lakh unique products, 6,000 brands on their platform, and more than 400 storefronts across India. And one of the reasons why FirstCry is so confident and excited about this IPO is their strong numbers. So the company registered a net profit of nearly 216 crore rupees in the financial year of 2021, which was a contrast against the loss that they saw in the financial year of 2020 of 191 crore rupees. And during that same time period, their operational revenue went from 814 crore rupees to 1,603 crore rupees. All right, moving on to some acquisition news now. And this one doesn't fit neatly into the startup category. We're talking about Veranda Learning Solutions, which is an edtech company that was founded in 2018 in Chennai. And just this month, they actually were listed on Indian stock markets. So they are a publicly traded company, and For some, that might invalidate their startup title. However, we're gonna talk about them anyways because we do think that this news is significant. They've acquired T.I.M.E, which is a test preparation edtech company that was founded back in the 90s, and they've acquired them for 287 crore rupees. So specifically, T.I.M.E was founded in 1992. They have a pan-India presence with 188 centers spread out across 98 Indian cities, and they also have a chain of preschools under their T.I.M.E Kids brand, operating 222 preschools in 56 cities. So it's pretty impressive that Veranda, which again was founded in 2018, has acquired this very old and very well-established education company. And this acquisition is going to help Veranda to expand its national footprint and also expand into new categories like the preschool category and the language training category. Oh, and just a footnote here too, 80% of this acquisition is happening in the first phase, and then 20% is going to be spread out over 2 years. All right, moving on to some funding news now. Bengaluru-based fintech unicorn Slice is in talks to close $55 million as a part of a larger Series C round, with lead investors being Tiger Global and Insight Partners, and they're raising these funds at a between $1.8 and $2 billion valuation. So Slice was founded back in 2016, and they offer credit solutions to young people between the ages of 18 and 29. So far, they've raised $270 million in external funding, and their last funding round back in November of 2021 made them a unicorn. The company is currently in the process of launching a UPI-based product, which they're internally testing with their own employees, and they're going to be using these funds for inorganic growth, mainly through acquisitions. All right, next up in the funding news, omni-channel eyewear brand Lenskart has raised $25 million at a $4.32 billion valuation in their Series I round. Get it? Series I? Yeah, this is why I don't tell jokes. This is actually their Series I round though, and it's just one part of it. So in the next couple of weeks, they will be raising more funds as a part of this Series I, and they're looking to close this round at a $5 billion valuation. Lenskart currently has 1,000 outlets across the country, and they're planning on opening 400 more in the financial year of 2023. They're going to be using these funds for that expansion across India. All right, next up in the funding news, we're going to move into our Bird's Eye segment now. We got a very positive response on that segment last week, so we're going to be continuing it here because at least 17 Indian startups this last week raised more than $1 million, and the total combined amount was $255.6 million. So D2C, that's direct to consumer, led the ecosystem this week with $94.7 million being raised across a couple of different startups, the most noteworthy being Melora raising $40 million and Wooden Street raising $30 million. Then we have Fintech making up about a quarter of the funding raised this week, $64.4 million across all of the fintech players, and $55 million of this was raised, of course, by Slice. Then after Fintech, we have Health Tech, which raised $43 million across two separate startups. TrueMeds raised $22 million, and Ayu Health raised $21 million. Next, we have Food Tech, and startups in this category raised $14.8 million. There were a few startups, but the most noteworthy were Captain Fresh, which raised $7.3 million, and Fresh Menu, which raised $6.5 million. And then finally, we have the EV space, which raised $7 million. This was exclusively raised by an electric scooter startup called Bigos. All right, that is all the startup news that I have for you guys this week. I really hope that you enjoyed the video and that you learned a lot. Big thanks to all of our Backstage with Millionaires members now, our unicorns, our decacorns, and our hectacorns. And of course, big thanks to this week's sponsor, Jungle Ventures. They've been sponsoring us for a really long time, and it would be amazing if you guys could head over to their channel, show their videos some love. They're making a lot of amazing content, super valuable for anybody who's interested in business, startups, or how venture capital works. So head over there, and while you're over there, make sure to hit subscribe. You can find the link to their channel in the pinned comment or description down below. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of Backstage with Millionaires, and I will see you in the next one.